Word that the world-honored one was about to visit Shravasti for the purpose of spreading the Dharma also reached the royal palace. King Prasenajit had this thought in mind. It is said that a prince of the Shakya clan has renounced worldly life and become a Buddha. It would be good to meet with him. In time, the guidance given and influence exerted by the Buddha at Jeta Grove Monastery moved the king to call on the Buddha. After an exchange of salutations, the Buddha instructed him as follows. O great king, there are four kinds of people. There are those who from darkness go further into darkness, then there are those who from darkness enter into light, again, there are those who enter into darkness from light, finally there are those who from light enter into light. The first type of people, who from darkness enter into darkness, are those who are born in poverty, who have no faith and are of lowly character, who never know how to share with others, who constantly harbor perverted views, and who have no respect for mendicants. These people may find themselves in hell after their deaths. The next type of people, who from darkness enter into light, may be poor in this life but have strong beliefs with noble ideas, are willing to share things with others with a serene mind, respect mendicants, and pursue acts of purity. They are reborn in a highly preferable place after their deaths. The third type of people, who from light enter into darkness, are those who are wealthy and prosperous in this world but have no faith. They are miserly and do not know how to give. They harbor perverted views and show no respect to mendicants. These people, upon meeting death, may fall into hell. The fourth type of people, who from light enter into light, are those who are rich and prosperous in this world, have faith and noble hearts, enjoy sharing things with others with a sincere mind, show deep respect to mendicants, and are born in a higher realm upon death. O great king, the are these four types of people in this world. King Prasenajit, overjoyed with these instructions, returned to his palace that day, and from then on he often visited the Buddha at Jeta Grove Monastery. One day the king visited the Buddha and bowed down reverently. The Buddha said, O great king, at this noon hour, from where did you come? The king answered, World-honored one, I am always occupied with my duties as a king. I was born into a Kshatriya family. I was anointed with the sprinkling of the consecrated water and ascended the throne. Invested with the power of rule, I preserve the peace of this royal land. I do so in the midst of the world of the five desires. It is not a simple matter to govern a large territory. The Buddha said, O great king, suppose a reliable person were to come here from the east and say to you, O great king, I have come from the east and have seen that a great mountain with its summit reaching up to the sky has started to move, crushing every form of life along the way. I think it is in order that proper measures be taken, along with this person. Suppose that messengers arrive from the west, from the south, and from the north bearing the same message, hoping for some appropriate measures to be taken. O great king, if and when such dreadful things did occur, we would be reminded that human birth is hard to come by. Now what would you propose to do about this predicament? The king then said to the Buddha, when such dreadful things occur, I realize that it is rare to have human life. I believe that there is no other way for me than to do good in accordance with the Dharma and accumulate merit. The Buddha then asked the king, O great king, both old age and death are falling upon you. In this situation what will you do to this? The king answered, in this situation, I believe that there is no other way for me than to do good in accordance with the Dharma and accumulate merit. O world-honored one, despite the power a ruler may wield, old age and death are beyond his power. O world-honored one, within the monarch's fold there is a group of magicians and sorcerers who can stop oncoming foes, but against old age and death there is nothing that one can do except to do that which is pure and in accordance with the Dharma, and to accumulate virtue against creeping old age and death. On this day, too, feeling appreciative of the Buddha's instructions, King Prasenajit returned to the palace glad. On yet another day the king paid a visit to the Buddha. On that occasion he asked whether the enlightened one called himself an awakened one. To this question the Buddha answered, O great king, if there is anyone in this world who deserves to be called an awakened one, that person is none other than myself. I am the awakened one. The king then said that in the world there were many mendicants who, like the Buddha, had disciples, gave instructions, and were respected by the people. He said, a persons such as Puranikashyapa, Ajatakesa Kambalin, Pakutakatayana, Sanjaya Belatipatra, Mahavira, and so forth. So far, I have had the opportunity to ask all of them the same question, but none of them have called themselves an awakened one. On the other hand, the world-honored one is young and has become a mendicant just recently. I wonder how you can make such an assertion." To this the world-honored one said, "O great king, there are 4 things in this world that must not be taken lightly because of their youth. They are a royal prince, a serpent, fire, and a disciple of the Buddha. These things you should not disregard merely because of their age." This day, too, was a good one for the king, who was awestruck by the dignity of the Buddha. He returned in happiness to his castle. The consort of King Prasenajit, named Queen Malika, was very wise. She was the daughter of the leader of the chaplet designers and was selected from among many to become the consort of the king. Long before, she had sought refuge in the Buddha and deeply appreciated the Dharma. She often gave spiritual guidance to the king. There was a householder in Shravasti who lost his only son. This householder was in deep sorrow, unable to do any work, and not eating at all. He was always at the cemetery seeking to find out where his son had gone. Then one day he set out for Jeta Grove Monastery, and after worshipping the Buddha he sat down. The world-honored one, having heard the cause of the householder's sorrow, instructed him, "O householder, because of love there is uneasiness, sorrow, suffering, worry, and heartache." The householder, hearing this, was not happy at all. He then joined the company of gamblers and told them what had happened. He bitterly criticized the instructions of the Buddha, which made little sense to him. The gamblers, hearing this, agreed with the householder. It was because of love that happiness and pleasure arose, and there was no reason why such things as sadness or anxiety should arise. They joined in the criticism. This matter gradually spread to the palace and reached the ears of King Prasenajit. The king then mentioned this to the queen, who said to him that if something was said by the world-honored one, it must be true. As the disciple follows the words of the master, the queen adhered to the words of the Buddha. But the king found himself unable to accept these words and showed displeasure. Queen Malika sent the Brahmin Nalajanga to the Buddha to inquire as to the meaning of the Buddha's words. The Buddha then said to the Brahmin, "O Brahmin, there was once a young woman who lost her mother and was crazed over this loss, wandering from street to street, asking everyone wherever she went, 'Where is my mother?' There was also a woman who had lost her husband and who also pleaded to know where her husband had gone. There was a mother who had lost her child and wandered here and there, seeking the infant. There was a loving couple who committed suicide when they knew they would be separated by force. Is it not because of love that there is anxiety, sorrow, suffering, uneasiness, and agony?" The Brahmin told this to Queen Malika, who later relayed this to the king and said, "O king, do you love our only daughter Princess Vajra?" The king answered he did. The queen continued, "Tell me, O king, if some mishap should befall her, would you not be filled with anxiety and sorrow?" The king answered that he would. She asked, "O king, do you love me?" He answered that he did. The queen asked, "O king, if something were to happen to me, what would you do to this?" The king answered that if something were to happen to her, he would be in deep anxiety and sorrow. On hearing these words the queen remarked, "O king, this is the real son why the Buddha, the wisest of all men, has said that it is because of love that we have in our hearts anxiety, sorrow, suffering, worries, and anguish." The king then exclaimed, "Oh, what a great teaching! Malika, my beloved queen, the world-honored one has penetrating insight. Forgive my thoughtlessness." The king then stood up from his throne and pulled his robe over one shoulder. Putting his hands together as he faced the direction where the Buddha resided, he exclaimed with joy 3 Ms, "O world-honored one, I hereby seek refuge in the Buddha,